This video was requested by my subscribers who were a bit confused of my style of knitting, so I decided to give an explanation here. Right now you see the footage in the real time. I didn't speed it up, how I knit and how many people who choose the same style knit and purl. To me it's very fast. And I've chosen this style of knitting because it gives my hands almost no tension. Please get me right. I don't think that there are right or wrong ways of knitting. And knitting is not a sport. Any speed is just fine as long as you have fun and relax with your crafts. However, in case if you were wondering what this particular style is, or if you are trying to dive deeper into diverse knitting culture, you might want to watch this video till the end. So the idea behind this style is very easy. Less movement, smaller amplitude. The first thing which is important for this style is how we hold the yarn and the knitting needles. So for this style, I have this loop around my pinky to adjust the tension, and I hold the yarn just like that, as closer to the needle as possible. Not like that, as closer to the needle as possible. You will understand why in just a minute. So for this style, the first stitch is always skipped and the last stitch is always purled. Now let's take a look at each stitch here, and what we see here is that it has kind of two legs, one here and one here, one in front, one at the back of the knitting needle. So the idea of the style is always use that leg of the stitch that is closer to the yarn. What do I mean by that? You've probably seen more classical ways to involve this leg and go into here. It's like more classical, more traditional way. And for my style, I would use the back side of the stitch because it's closer to the yarn. What does it give me? It gives me less amplitude, less movement, because when I knit a skirt or a dress, there are hundreds of thousands of stitches. Maybe it's not that visible, it's not that obvious for a scarf, for a small scarf, but for a dress, this millimeter really matters. So the idea of this style is to minimize the movement and to involve the leg of the stitch which is closer to the yarn. So this is the knit stitch for this style, and see, the idea here is to hold the yarn as close to the knitting needle as possible, not like that, but just like that. And it does give me tension, it does help me to control the tension, and also I control it with my pinky. So just like this is closer to the yarn, and I finish the entire row just like that. And in just a second we will be talking about the purl stitch, but first let's take a look at the last stitch of the row, and I always purl it, okay, and then I turn the work, and when the last stitch becomes the first stitch, I would just skip it. Now the purl stitch. Again, for the purl stitch we always have this yarn kind of on the side of the needle which is closer to us, to knitters, okay? And here we have the same idea. The stitch has two legs and the yarn goes as close to the leg as possible, and this is how we purl. And then like this, and purl. Again, this style is, I don't know, it's probably for lazy knitters like I am. Some styles involve this movement to go into this stitch. But see, I'm a lazy knitter and I would prefer just do this small movement and grab this stitch and just form this stitch like that. Okay, so as less movement as possible, so the working yarn is closer to me and I use the leg of the stitch which is closer to the yarn. Okay, so the idea is to figure out which way of forming the stitch is the laziest and follow this way. See, when you purl, when you have this purl side of the sweater or a scarf, the stitch kind of tells you, the yarn kind of tells you what to do. The yarn just wants to be closer to you. I don't know how to explain. It just happens naturally. The yarn wants to be here. It's obvious. Okay, like this, and the last stitch is always a purl stitch. Now let's turn it, and maybe the way to grab the stitch, this side or that side of the stitch was not so obvious at the first row, but here it will be even more obvious. We skip the first stitch and we see front leg, back leg. Okay, and it's so much obvious because this arch, it kind of goes around the knitting needle, and you use that, the side of the arch which is closer to your yarn. And see, here it's even more obvious. Okay, just like this, because if you go like this, you will have a twisted stitch, and see how much movement it involves. No, I'm lazy. I don't want that movement. I want it to go as smooth, as lazy as possible. I have yarn here, I have stitch here, and I will just marry those together, and that's it. And that's it. See, the third row is already, it's so obvious that it is easier to go this way. Again, I'm not saying that this is the right way or other continental ways are wrong. No. It's a matter of, it's how you were taught, how you were, how you used to knit. Okay, again, let's take at the purl side, so skip the first one and see, for the purl side, the yarn kind of tells you what to do. See, hop, really, you don't have to think too much. The yarn tells you what to do. So I hope you've got the idea of knit and purl stitches. Now, what happens if we have both knit stitches and purl stitches in the same row? The process, the logic is just the same. Let's skip the first one. This is a knit stitch. We knit it. And for the purl stitch, we use the same technique as we used in the purl row. So this is our knit stitch and this is the purl stitch. And the last thing I need to remember, that any style is fast once you've got used to it, once you've figured it out, once you've got the idea of it. So no matter what style you choose, it's just important to keep your arms and hands and fingers healthy, relaxed, and just have fun doing your crafts.